Taiwan is bursting with heaps of fun places to explore. Join me, Amber Hatfield, as I hit up travel hotspots, soak up some culture, and hunt down hidden gems. Let's go! Hello, and welcome back to Let's Go. I'm your host, Amber Hatfield. In this week's episode, we are going to continue looking at South Korea with my guest, Herel Hughes. Last week, we chatted to her about her trip in South Korea, and this week's episode is a continuation of that conversation. Let's get into it. I mean, normally when I travel, I like to try and stay somewhere cheap, somewhere pretty budget, you know, like I'll probably stay in a hostel to save my money so I can spend my money on doing trips and eating good food and stuff like that.
Yep.
Because you're basically, when you're away, you're not really spending much time in the hotel.
It's just for sleeping.
Normally.
Yeah.
So, but I'm interested, what kind of place did you stay in this time?
So I think it would help to compare it to my first trip to Seoul.
Okay.
So yeah, my first trip there, again, I was by myself, so I stayed in a hostel. Very cheap. It was probably $18 a night, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Right near that palace. And I really liked it because it was in a traditional Korean housing, I guess you would say, where it has the heated floors.
Wow, nice.
And I love that. I don't know any other countries that use that, really, or that I've experienced.
Yeah.
So that was fantastic. But the room I was in had 4 beds in it, and there was maybe this about 2 hands width of space between the beds. Okay. So we were crushed in there, but it was also really nice because there were 2 other girls in my room, and then we ended up becoming friends and hanging out because they were also traveling by themselves.
Right, that's like part of the experience.
Yeah, so then, we're going to coin karaoke, we're going out dancing, we're, doing all that fun stuff, which was really nice. And that was a huge juxtaposition to this time with my mom because she stayed in what she booked was a pretty nice hotel right near Seoul City Station and the Myeongdong shopping street.
Okay.
And, we were staying on the 13th floor or something. We each had our own bed, nice shower, everything like that. And it was just a very, very different position to be in.
Like a luxury experience.
Yeah. And then also my mom goes to bed at 10 p.m. So.
Okay. So with your mum going to bed early, did you decide to go out and explore any of the nightlife at all?
I did. I only went out one night. It was actually a bit terrible.
Oh, no.
No. So it was Friday. My mom and I were out and we decided to stop somewhere to get some tea and some cookies. And she got a matcha latte. And we were drinking it, enjoying it and everything. And we're like, okay, we're going to head back to the hotel now. And as we're walking, my mom starts feeling incredibly nauseous. And I'm getting a bit nervous because my mom is nauseous, She's like, she pulls out this plastic bag, which I'm like, oh no. And we're waiting for the subway and she starts throwing up into the garbage can.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And we're not sure. I mean, it had to have been the matcha latte because we were sharing the cookies. I felt okay. And that was the only thing that she was throwing up. So I had already made plans to go out that night. And then I'm taking her home and she's not feeling well. And I'm getting a bit nervous. So then we stop at, a 7-Eleven, get some Pocari Sweat. My favorite. And then take her upstairs and she's just not feeling well. And that, I don't know what it was, but I was feeling guilty.
Yeah.
And then she kept saying, you can go out. And then I ended up going out, but not until much later than I anticipated. So I actually went to that warehouse bar I mentioned earlier in Ojiro because they were putting on, they have a lot of concerts there or events, so I just wanted to go see it. So just went out for a little dance and then nothing crazy.
How was your mom in the end?
She was good.
Was she okay?
She said she's never having a matcha latte again, which I don't believe her, but...
Ruined forever.
Yeah, poor, so sad.
Oh, so sad.
Yeah.
So were you able to listen to live music when you went to that bar?
Yeah, they had, the event that I went to had a couple DJs playing. Yeah, so they only went until 2 a.m., which was really nice. And then it was also great because it's walking distance to my hotel.
Okay. So
Seoul, like a bunch of other cities, which always blows my mind, but their public transport closes at midnight.
Oh, okay.
Which, Seoul is a city of 10 million people, I want to say. And I always think about how Tokyo, their subway closes at midnight. It just blows my mind that it closes down. So I'm really glad I was able to walk and didn't have to worry about getting a taxi later.
Okay, yeah. Wow, I didn't know that. I mean, what time does it close in Taipei though?
Also midnight.
Midnight, right?
Yeah, but then I grew up in Chicago. I've lived in New York City. The trains never stop there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fantastic, especially, well, Chicago, only 2 lines run 24/7, but those are the 2 lines I lived on. So as long as you can get to the subway, even if it's, 4 in the morning, then you get on the subway and it takes you home. And same with New York City. But then in Taipei, Tokyo, Seoul, so many other cities around the world. I think London's the same.
Yeah, it definitely stops
Paris,
at some point.
They're all these big cities. I'm like, what are you guys doing? You got so many people who live here. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually recall when I was in South Korea and I went to, I guess it was Itaewon that I said before, and when we came back, I think that was just the time when I had been in Taiwan for a few years, and I kind of knew how to get around in Taiwan. I could speak Chinese. I could ask the cab driver where to go and everything like that. And I kind of didn't realize that I'd gotten so used to it here and that I knew how to say things. And then I went out in Korea and I needed to get a taxi back. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And I didn't have internet on my phone. So I was just trying to use one of those kind of offline maps and like point to where I want to go. But it was really awkward. And I was thinking, wow, I don't know how people do this. Like, I just forgot how hard this was.
Welcome to my life here. Yeah.
Gosh.
Definitely humbling experience trying to mime out where you need to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Well, I have a lot of experience miming, so. Okay, let's talk about whether or not you would consider revisiting South Korea in the future, and if you would want to go again to Seoul, or maybe you want to explore other places.
I think I would go to South Korea again, because even this time around, I feel like I didn't experience enough,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe it was because, I'm not trying to throw my mom under the bus, but, she's been to Seoul a couple times also. And me being as well, it was kind of like, we know what we want to do while we're here and we're going to go do it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I missed the spontaneity of when I went for the first time and I met some people, and then it's kind of like, oh, we're going to just see where the night takes us and go here and just see that. Whereas this time it felt very pointed. We knew we wanted to, go to a skincare clinic. I wanted to go to the spa and get scrubbed down. I wanted to go to this art museum, etc. So it felt very fast. So I think I would like to go again, even in the summertime, because when I went this previous time, it was still chilly out. We were still really wearing coats and pants and everything.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so I thought it would be fun to go in the summer, maybe when it's not too hot, because I hate heat. But even going to the beach, going around, I think that would be really nice.
Yeah, the time when you went this time was April, so were there also still cherry blossoms and things like that?
Yeah, there were cherry blossoms, and I really like that Seoul kind of planted them all over the city.
Okay.
So at one point we went out to brunch and we're just walking past this random corporate plaza, and it had all these cherry blossoms in it, and there were, maybe 20 people trying to take photos there, including my mom. But then you go up the mountain by the Seoul Tower, and there were so many cherry blossoms there and so many people taking the bus. It was really nice to see. Yeah.
Cool.
See them out in the wild.
Well, I mean, I had an experience not that long ago trying to see cherry blossoms in Taiwan.
Oh, no.
And there weren't any when I tried to see them.
Well, it's hard now because climate change. And I just saw in the news, of course, Japan's cherry blossoms are happening right now. But apparently there were really heavy rains in Japan and they got washed away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know that's part of the allure of cherry blossoms is that they only bloom for, I think someone told me 14 days. Yeah, which is, the very temporary time to go see them and trying to catch them. But we were really lucky with our timing.
Yeah, nice. So you got some good poses, some good pictures in front of the cherry blossoms?
Not of myself, but I took plenty for my mom.
Awesome. And so you just talked a little bit, you mentioned about skincare clinics. So skincare and cosmetic procedures and all that kinds of stuff is such a big kind of tourism draw in South Korea. Can you tell me a little bit about what did you do? What did you get done? Did you have any procedures or anything?
Sure. So even when I went last year, I knew I wanted to go to one of the skincare clinics. And as you said, it's just so affordable. And that's a big draw for me. Especially the skin is the largest living organ on the body, and I want to take care of it. I get sunspots, I get sunburnt very easily. So taking care of my skin is really important to me. So the first time I went to a clinic in Gangnam, which is a pretty nice neighborhood. But I like the clinic. They had kind of two sides to it. They have the Korean side for people who live there, and then they have the foreigner side because it really is such a big tourist draw. And you actually get a tax return on it, which is pretty awesome.
Okay, so it's like separate clinics basically for foreigners, kind of English-speaking clinic and a Korean-speaking clinic.
Yeah, well, it's under the same clinic, but when you exit the elevator, it literally says like foreigners to the right. And they have a whole side of just English-speaking doctors, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. So the second time around with my mom, we went to a different clinic. We went to one in Myeongdong. But it was the same thing. We're very foreigner friendly. I would say probably even more foreigner friendly because it's in Myeongdong. They know exactly what it's for. And it was on top of an Olive Young, which Olive Young is South Korea's kind of like Sephora, or it's just a store that has all the makeup and skincare. So this clinic being on top of that was pretty funny.
Okay.
Yeah. So you enter the clinic, you wait for your turn, and then you're ushered into a room with the doctor, and they kind of just look at you, which it can be a bit daunting. I'm like, don't look too closely. And then they're like, so what is your skin concern today?
Okay.
And I don't necessarily know many procedures, and I'm also afraid of the doctor. So doing anything invasive or involving needles or anything really freaks me out, and I didn't want to engage with that. But it kind of surprised me how fast that was offered and how cheap it was compared. The first thing was, are you interested in Botox or fillers? And that was the first thing offered, which I was like, well, not, I'm a bit nervous about that. And I was like, okay. But then there was no pushing for anything.
Okay.
It was just like, okay, well, are you focused on hydration? Are you poor? What are you focused on, etc. Yeah. So it was really nice. She, was looking at us and trying to tell us some things about, oh, it looks like this is sagging and this, you could use this and this and this. And I don't think my mom likes some of the things. But
I don't like anyone telling me anything is sagging on my face.
I don't. And also, I don't want to hear, it's just, so I understand like beauty standards are different and also they're doing their job. It's not meant to be judgmental or anything. But some of those, I was like, I'm not really into that. Yeah, so I got done. It's called Aqua Peel.
Okay.
And apparently I just Googled this last night because I didn't even know what I ordered. But apparently it clears your pores using water. And it's meant to be super hydrating or something. I don't know. And then I also got Pico lasering.
Pico lasering. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's well, I have a bunch of sunspots on my face, and because I've lived in very sunny countries, and now they're starting to come up, and they can maybe turn bad later, so I'd rather address them now. So the way it works is actually you're meant to do it several times. So she was trying to say like, oh well, just one time doing this lasering won't do much. You have to do it maybe 11 times. Oh, I was like, oh okay, well I guess
plenty more trips to Korea on the menu.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, and she warned me that would hurt. It didn't hurt at all.
Okay.
I wanted to ask her, like, are you doing it? Because it was almost tickling. It didn't hurt at all.
Ah.
Yeah, and then I got another thing done, which is, like, they pump hyaluronic acid into your face.
Uh-huh.
It sounds really scary.
It does
Maybe
sound...
the verb pump might be wrong.
Okay.
But they use, like, a micro press to put hyaluronic acid right into your face.
Is this like a needle?
No, yeah. It's like, it's not microdermabrasion. Micro needling?
Microneedling, maybe.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. But it looks like a stamp. I think that's why it was okay for me.
Ah, okay.
It's not an injection necessarily, like a big needle.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So they also warned me that would hurt, and it didn't hurt at all.
Okay.
Again, I was like, are you doing anything? Yeah. So I just got a lot of hydration done. And I mean, also I really like South Korea because if you're curious about any of these skincare procedures, Botox, fillers, etc., it's so affordable
Mm-hmm.
that, if you just want to try it, then I think that's the place to do it.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about whether or not you have any advice for anyone wanting to go to South Korea for a weekend from Taiwan. What kind of things would you recommend that they do or don't do on a trip?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it depends, but it does, because I know how I like to travel. So for me, I like to almost pretend I live there. I like to do things that I would do ordinarily. So for me, that includes I want to go to the vintage and thrift stores. I want to be in neighborhoods. I want to go chill at the art museum, a cafe, and then I want to go to some bars or clubs at night, kind of things that I do normally. Yeah. But then I love having that experience in so many countries around the world because first you get the coolest stuff for vintage wise. And then, I want to be around people who live there and locals. So, of course, go to some of the more touristy things because it is also really important to have a cultural context when you visit countries. And it's always also just so cool to learn. But then also try and get out into the neighborhoods. Don't stick so much to the tourist areas or just follow what the Instagram influencers do, because there's especially South Korea, there's so many now. Okay. And of course, I've fallen victim to it. I went to the skincare clinics too. But also, try and get out there. If you see the sketchy coin karaoke underground, go in there because that one's way better than the nice place in Hongdae or whatever. Yeah.
It's often the case, I feel like, as well, that it's kind of the age-old issue with traveling that you are a tourist, but you don't want to be in the tourist area.
I don't want to be perceived as a tourist.
I want you to think I'm from here.
Yes. And of course, that's just me spouting what I think that you should do. If you do want to only stick to touristy things, that's your prerogative. It's your trip. Do what you want to do. Yeah. But I like to get out and not just stick in one neighborhood. I like to see them all.
Yeah. And if you're coming to Taiwan for a trip and you also want to go to South Korea, I would say definitely try to avoid the long weekends. And maybe try and fly from Songshan Airport.
Fly from Songshan and fly into Daegu. It was so much more affordable. And also Daegu's a really cool city. Can recommend. Awesome. Also really cool art museum and spas there. But South Korea is a pretty cool place. Don't expect everyone to be a K-pop star and treat them as such. The real people live there and it's great. And get out more. Eat all the food. Go dancing. It's great.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
That's all for this week's episode of Let's Go. I hope you enjoyed my chat with Herel Hughes all about South Korea. And I'll see you next week.